You
Okay.
can start.
Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome everybody to this session, Lunch and Learn on transition and post-secondary planning, specifically helping families to know the available transition services and how to access them and to plan for them. Today, I am going to be doing the presentation. Amy is actually on in the audience for this call, but she is off campus and somewhere where she's not able to access Zoom. And so she regrets that she's not here, and she's given me guidance on how to get through her slides. So, and she would be available if there was something that you needed to know from some of those slides. So I am the education, transition, and community person here at LSU Health Human Development Center. And so I kind of deal with students that are on their way to exiting the high school and then their life the minute they are finished high school, or maybe they're on an extended IEP and are on an alternate assessment. So I do a lot of employment and transition and work site training. And Amy, you can see her there, and she's with the LASARD project. So a little bit about the Human Development Center. My thing is in the way. So we're a university affiliated program. We're one of 6 to 7 centers across the United States. We're located here at LSU Health Human Development Center in New Orleans. And we have a variety of programs that span across from early learning and childhood development all the way through employment and senior and other disability groups and sort of issues. We have a wide variety of staff who are doing all those things, and we invite you to visit our website at the web links we'll give you later for this. So today, this is what we're going to discuss. You came here and we're talking about transition, and mostly transition and post-secondary options available to exiting students. We'll also talk about the state and local agencies that are offering services and supports to those individuals and how you can access those services. And finally, I'll close with a little bit of the Social Security disability benefits and how earnings impact each benefit type, simply because a lot of parents and some teachers are worried about the impact of wages on a student's earnings and afraid that it might eliminate or lessen the benefits they're receiving. And so they want to know about that. So we're not going to go into great detail, but we'll show you how you can find out some of those things and how we can allay any of your concerns and fears about that and help parents kind of get through it. So first of all, we're going to talk about person-centered planning. And, the thing that we know about person-centered planning is that, it's supposed to be focused on the individual that is receiving the services, the person with the disability, and it's supposed to highlight them. There's many different ways to do person-centered planning, or many different sort of programs to do it. But the general areas that are typically part of the planning meeting with the individual, their family, and the school, and maybe some other community partners are right here. This health and wellness, what would the person do to kind of nutrition, and also maybe walking or going to a house club, those kind of things. Relationships, both, their friends and girlfriend, boyfriend kind of stuff. And then it's just family relationships as well. Relatives that may live nearby or are far away. Communication and communication skills, how the individual interacts with their environment. School and community involvement. So, looking at what kinds of things they're involved with now, where they are in the school process, what kinds of things they and their family would like them to become a part of and get involved in, their day-to-day routine and their activities, and then lifelong learning, the things that they're interested in. So person-centered planning is something that's going to be done because it increases the person's ability to participate in their community or in their school. And so we're going to look at, where they are and where they want to go, and help the family and that individual have some real choices and get some real supports in exercising those choices. So we would, identify and enhance their meaningful relationships that, they would end up telling us that they wanted to have a closer relationship with the grandparent who lives maybe, down the road or in another city nearby, that kind of stuff. So you make actual planning and the details. The planning is also used to expand the opportunity for individuals to make those choices. So they might be self-limiting because they're not sure of all the options that are available. So the person that's helping to facilitate the meeting with the individual with a disability would be sure to do some pre-planning for the meeting and to be able to bring some of those resources to the meeting. The whole planning process creates a more dignified experience that's based on mutual respect for the individual and for the members that are there. Everybody has a role, and that role is kind of interplay and intertwined. But the one thing we want to be sure of is that the individual with the disability is getting their opportunity to be able to show what it is they want to do and what some of their choices are. So, it's part of developing the team's skill and expertise so that they'll actually be able to improve that person's experience and quality of life. So there are kind of two types of planning methods. One is system-centered and one is person-centered. You can see from the diagram here that the system-centered is to plan a lifetime of programming, offer a limited number of typically segregated options. And in terms of employment and transitioning, moving upwards and out of the school, sometimes that can mean some of those day vocational training centers, which tend to be segregated. And because they're segregated, they're limited for sure. We're looking for more integrated options, integrated environments. They base their options on some stereotypes, and they focus on placement. They often overemphasize technologies and clinical strategies, and they're organized to please regulators and policies. And so I'm not so sure that some of those systems would say that, but in terms of our knowledge of those kinds of system-centered supports and approaches, they, of course, have to do some of these things, they believe, because of the funding and how they pay for staff, and it's sort of more static. The person-centered approach is more individualized and is focused on providing those supports to that person. So you can be a lot more resilient in terms of being able to do more community and more integrated and inclusive kinds of supports. So you craft a desirable experience, one that's based on what the team suggests and the choices that are available. You can design unlimited number of options because you're going to provide them with an array of options and allow them to choose which one seems right for them. Oftentimes you're going to be able to find some new possibilities for the person that the family and that person never knew about. We're never sure that could happen for them, and they're quite delighted that actually that's an option because they thought they kind of had to go with the more system-centered. The whole focus would be in this approach would be the quality of life of the person, and would emphasize their dreams, that person's dreams, and their meaningful experiences, not necessarily what I would think would be meaningful or my dreams, of course. So we want to make sure we're trying to hone in on where that person is. And you organize all of those things in order to respond in the best way to that person. So transition supports, we want to know, what are the pathways and programs available for my exiting student? Do we have regional support services? Are there any other supports that are available that we don't know about? And what are the possibilities? And how do we know what the benefits that we should know about? And this is the area where you can really demystify the process for parents, because a lot of times parents and teachers think that when a student who has a disability, and then sometimes students with more support needs, sometimes the parents and the teachers are pretty firm in a belief that they've heard that their son or daughter or their student would likely benefit most by going to some of those system-centered kind of supports. And I think we can tell you that there couldn't be anything further from the truth. Some of the best things that could happen to that individual, especially that person that might have more support needs, would be to have them in the community where we can rely on planned, facilitated supports, but we can also rely on natural supports and things that occur in the environment, and making sure we have those things structured to kind of cross over together and provide the fullest complement of resources for that person. So when we look at what's going to happen with a student transitioning from school, like what are the options, there's really, it's not limitless in the possibilities. It's limitless in the choices you could engage in as you get on one of these pathways. But for most students exiting school, they're either going to continue in education and training, or they might attend a community college or some other post-secondary education or university sort of thing, depending on, what they want to do, what they feel like they are going to be. Um, they then could decide that they're just going to go to work and that they're going to work, they could decide if they're going to work part-time or full-time. And then some people can decide that they're going to work either part-time or full-time and also engage in post-secondary training, um, training. I'm sorry, that's a mistake. Um, so the thing that we want parents to know is that there are a lot of options when we look at individuals with disabilities who are exiting a school. They don't just have to go to a sheltered workshop or a segregated day environment where they're going to learn work skills. The best way to learn work skills is at a work site. And so we've been able to prove that ourselves here at the Human Development Center. And also we know from the national data, it's an indicator that people who want to go to work and select that as an option can certainly be placed in employment, and regardless of their level of support need. So we wanted to share with you a few things about the post-secondary programs that are available in Louisiana, in our state right now. And I will caution you that these are growing as we speak. Basically, by probably the fall, there could be one or two added, because one of these, the ones at LSU Baton Rouge, was added last summer and is new for this year. We have 6 certified transition programs in our state that are funded by the federal government and some state monies. And, if you've had any familiarity with, you might have heard of some of these, and you've certainly heard of these institutions. Well, so they offer these programs where individuals with disabilities, regardless of whether they've actually achieved a diploma status yet, or whether they're on the alternate pathway, and they can access these programs. That's the beauty of them. And they're funded through protected legislation. In the state of Louisiana, we were able to get the legislature to fund the Certified Transition Program, and specific legislation that protects these programs, but also has money to start off some other groups, some other universities and community colleges. So we have one at Baton Rouge Community College called a Program for Successful Employment. There's one in Bossier Parish, Shreveport Bossier, called also the Program for Successful Employment. There's one at Nicholls State University down in the Bayou called Bridge to Independence. There's one at Southeastern across the lake that is called Lines Connected. There's University Louisiana Life Program at the University of Louisiana Lafayette. And then there's the ACES Transition and Post-Secondary Program at the University of Louisiana in Monroe. So those are all available. Students can go who have received a regular diploma and still have a disability, or we're on a 504 plan or an IEP at the school, but we're able to get their diploma. They can go on and take coursework and maybe, for an associate's or possibly for a degree. But kids without that diploma can also go and begin taking coursework at least, and then they can be in the program. The final one here is the program that we run from the Human Development Center that I have had the pleasure of being the director of since 2016. It's the Paycheck program, which stands for the Post-Secondary Apprenticeship for Youth program at LSU Health Human Services Center, but we don't do anything in this building. We're not a brick and mortar kind of program. We provide our services to Paycheck students at Delgado Community College, which serves the greater New Orleans metro area. And the students that go in our program, and we have about 20 each year in the cohort, they take two classes the first semester, one the second, and that second semester is when they begin doing one of their paid internships with a community employer for 10 weeks, and we can reimburse that employer for those wages. And then a second one in their third semester, and in the same way, it's a paid apprenticeship we can reimburse the employer through Louisiana Rehab Services. So that option has become increasingly more valuable to individuals whose parents don't want their son or daughter to leave and go off to a college program, and also to those individuals who are not interested in going off to a college and staying in residence and those sort of things. They stay at home. We teach many of them to travel the bus, travel the streetcar, take an Uber, and try to get them to come to campus. They come 5 days a week. and we're able to schedule with them their coursework and some of the, their lunches, their breaks, their homework time, their time to do other things with people on campus, some social things. And so it's a 12-month program. The criteria for the paycheck program, and I know this will probably spawn this interest in it. Well, what about the other one? If if you have questions, we're going to provide you with a bunch of resources, and you can certainly email me, and I can give you more information on the post-secondary education certified programs that you might be interested in, or even paycheck, even if it's not in your area yet. We're working with Allie and her team to be able to help some school districts that are interested in doing a similar pathway program for their transitioning students. And we're expecting that we may see more of the paycheck program across the state over time as we're able to help people implement it. Here's the criteria. Essentially, you have to be between 18 and 22. We're looking at 18 because we're waiting for them to be able to be on the extended school year. And so they'd be 18 above, to 22 until the funding for these services that we actually provide to the individual ends at 22 or the end of that school year. They have to have a current IEP and be enrolled in a high school, but for paycheck, they wouldn't be going to the high school. They would be in our program the whole time. We would provide information to the school about attendance, progress, and so they can keep, the ITP, the plan updated throughout the school year. They have to be eligible for LRS services, but if they have an IEP with the school, then they will be eligible, but they have to go through the process, which can take between 1 to 2 months, depending on the time of year and how many other people are looking to get services from Louisiana Rehab Services. They have to have an interest in doing the program the way we do it. So it's a pathway. It's organized in a certain way where they're taking classes like I just described to you. And my colleagues, I think either Amy or Melinda, have uploaded some brochures and some pathway graphics so you can kind of see what the program actually looks like and more laid out, a little easier than just trying to remember what I'm saying. You have to have a goal of working competitively. So our goal is not necessarily to keep them in college and then working towards a degree, because as I said, we're looking at students that maybe being in coursework all the time is not their thing. But if we have somebody who is interested in doing childcare, then we can get them an introduction to childcare class, or we can get them into the program that gives them a child development associate certification, and that can allow them to work in a daycare or early learning center. They have to be willing to participate in the community-based training. We don't want to accept people and they tell us, no, I don't want to learn to ride the bus with you. I don't want to get a bank card. I don't, so we need to have some cooperation with some of that stuff. Now, I just
wanted to say you have 10 minutes left.
Thank you. Yeah. So thank you, my timekeeper. So this is a list, and you can pull it up a little wider and look at. So it's not necessarily that I'm not going to read these off. I promise.
Sue,
so,
I'm
yes.
sorry, got enough of a connection to get on and say hello. I am going to upload each of these slides individually into the Google Drive. So this slide, the families helping families slide, we'll have all of those as individual slides so people can reference them in the Google Drive.
Thank you. I'm so glad I have all this help. That will really help you. So what you're looking at here in the next couple of slides are the resources that are available. So I'm not going to read them off, but know this, that in terms of the Office of Citizens with Developmental Disabilities, there are regional offices all across the state. And depending on where you live, which parish you're in, one of these offices would be the one that you need to apply to. Some of the parents probably already are receiving some supports and services there, but they have been really good at helping us enroll people and providing us with some per student funding to be able to do some of the legwork on getting them to apply to a community college, selecting coursework, the kinds of things that we do when the schools are on their break for the summer. And so we start with the students in July, and then they would start attending college in the fall, which typically is the first or second week in August. So those are all those human service districts or human service authorities across the state of Louisiana. So they've been a tremendous supporter of having students go into these programs, and they've been able to provide some support and funding. And they also offer personal care attendance and the kinds of things if somebody needs that we can use on campus and as they're moving through the community. The next one are the regional families helping families. And so the same thing, depending on where you live, one of these squares that has a listing of the name of the families helping families would be in your area, and you can easily link out to them and look at contacting them, because one of their focus areas is helping individuals and their parents help people transition from the school life to community life. Because we know that after the last day of school, the students that have exited and are no longer on an IEP and aren't on an extended school year are now kind of adults and they're on their own. So it's now their parents and the individual who have to negotiate the landscape. So that's why we're giving you these. And thank you again, Amy, for putting those in the resources for this session. The next one is connecting to the regional Louisiana Rehabilitation Services. And Louisiana Rehabilitation Services is the state agency that provides employment supports and also the funding for training and education for somebody who wants to get more training and education related to a career or something that's going to get them a better job. And so again, depending on where you live, there are regional offices all across our state. And this is a contact information for those regional offices. And that's where you would start with phoning them and getting an appointment and saying, I'd like to apply, I would like to get a job, or I'd like to get you to pay for my community college or for my coursework. So I'm not going to be able to go through a lot on all this, but I can tell you that we have been the recipient of the Social Security Administration's benefit counseling grant since the year 2000. So we've had 24 years of being able to provide free individualized counseling to parents and their sons or daughters who might be on SSI or SSDI. And so we know how to be able to talk to people about how much they can work before they start to lose some of their check or maybe all of their check. And, we know most people don't want to lose all of their check, but they certainly don't want to lose healthcare. We can help you with orchestrating that so that it works the way you need it to work. We are not Social Security staff. It's actually a grant. They're all across the United States. So in every state, they have several of these grants. We provide services to half of the state, and Lighthouse Louisiana provides it to the other half. So I'd encourage you to look at that, and I'll get Amy, or maybe Amy will teach me how to put it up. We have a map of the distribution of the parishes and which organization does the services. But if you forget, you can just email or call me, and I will send you on the right path so you can get a hold of somebody. And we do that free benefits counseling, and then we do a written summary and description of what might happen if you are receiving those benefits, and if you went to work part-time, if you went to work full-time, and stuff like that. So we can find a spot that works for you. I know we're getting near the end, Melinda, so I'm going to not go through that, but this is about the SSI check. And the good thing that I want you to know about is this thing called student earned income exclusion. So when we do get people a job between 18 and 22 and they're taking coursework, they can earn up to, and you see towards the bottom of the slide, they can earn up to $9,230 in a year before they even get any reduction, or anybody at Social Security even looks at trying to lessen their check because of earnings. So that's a lot of money. If you had a student earning $9,000 when they were in the 12th grade or in an extended school year, that would be fantastic. And we orchestrate that through our paycheck program, and we can talk to you about that. Then there's some value of LRS, but basically they'll pay for education or training related to employment. And they also provide these services that we can provide in the community. They're called pre-employment transition services. So we can do a lot of talking about careers and focusing and doing internships and job site visits and like one-on-one community things to try to get that individual and their parent comfortable with what kind of jobs they're going to go to. Some more information on Louisiana Rehab Services and what they offer. We don't access all of these, but any individual with a disability could access many of these. Some are specific to certain disabilities, like personal assistant services and scribes and readers and sign language interpreters and things like that. So we have relationships with all those organizations that we showed. We can help you be able to do that. I do want to say that the Social Security Administration actually has a focus and a priority for benefits planning to work with people who are transitioning from school, hopefully to work. They'd like people to choose work more often, even if it's just part-time. And that can start as early as 14 years of age. So that's some really good pre-planning work that we can do here, or Lighthouse Louisiana can do. Oh, I do have the map. Actually, I will make, Amy, can you include this in what you're going to upload to the resources? Because
Yes, it will be a separate, all of them separate slides. I'll just make them individual. Yes.
beautiful, thank you. So this is just if you're trying to find out who serves who. The purple is what LSU serves, and the white is what Lighthouse Louisiana serves. And so again, I don't see the number on here, but you can connect, and we'll tell you, what number to call. We can give you that information. So if you're interested in any of that, please establish that relationship with us. And I'm on slide 21 to 22, and it is 12:28. I did it. A lot of information. I want to say again, please, if there's something that you need that we mentioned that you don't see, we can get it to you. If you have questions about this, you can ask. You have 2 minutes to ask stuff. But that's kind of what we do here, is we help teach and mentor and build capacity. So if there's something that Amy or I can help you with in terms of the planning or the transition and stuff, we would be delighted to do that. We're doing that around the state now, at least Allie and the rest of her staff are doing a lot of stuff within the school. So we're trying to do more of this. So Melinda, did you have some closing comments that usually?
Thank you.
done.
Did a fantastic job. Thank you so much.
Melinda or
Then-
Sue, can you put your survey slide up for people?
I don't know how to do that.
I think it was added to the end of your PowerPoint.
Oh, it says 21 to 21.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'll blame it on Amy.
Yes, blame it on me. I can see if I can find it.
Does anybody have any questions? You can unmute your mic or write it in the chat box.
Will the slides be attached in the Google Drive, or are you gonna email them out?
They will be in the Google Drive.
Thank you.
They are in the Google Drive, I believe. Are you looking? They should be there. Does anybody else have any questions? Well, we're at 12:30. I want to thank you all for coming in and getting 30 minutes on your lunchtime of transition service and post-secondary, and encourage you to contact us if you think we can help you. And I see Melinda wants to say something.
Hey, Sue, we've got a chat.
Amy. Yeah,
Okay.
somebody in the chat said, is the paycheck program only for certain regions?
Well, it's only in certain regions now, but we are working with the school system to be able to expand to their schools. So if you want to talk to me directly about that, or Allie about that, we can, they work with a lot of school systems. So there are some that have reached out and are interested in being able to start a paycheck program in their area. So there's no reason why it couldn't be there. It's not a cost laden thing. It's just something that the school needs to know, that they have students and parents who would like that kind of programming. And sometimes the school just wants that program. So we're making it available across the state of Louisiana.
And I did just put Sue's email in the chat. So if you have any other follow-up questions afterwards, you can reach out to her.
Thank you, Melinda.
When you say school, are you talking about school, or are you talking about university level, or both?
We're talking about both. It depends on the pathway that the student has as they come through their high school years, and then sort of also on what that their career interest is. So we can, a lot of times, because at community college you can also pursue an associate's degree, but you can also pursue like workforce certificates and things like that. the certificate in hospitality, child development associate. There's many, many things. So we can make it work for somebody, Wallace, depending on, what community college program or university program is nearby, that kind of thing.
All right, I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining us on today's Lunch and Learn. We have one more for the year, and it's going to be on annual transition planning for teachers and family members, and that's going to be in May. So we will send an email out, post it on our social media page, but feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.